So the Monkey King in Chinese mythology is the trickster god. He's sort of the mischievous god, and we always thought. I mean, I've always liked that, and we thought that since we started our company, we didn't have a lot of huge studio funding. We didn't have a lot of money to throw at things. That when we formed our production company to empower ourselves as actors initially, we could start creating the types of projects that we would want to be in and play the characters, the kind of characters we wanted to play. We named our company Well, we wanted to name it Monkey King Productions. I think first I wanted to name it Son Goku Productions.
And I said, I like that name, but I don't think anyone's going to know what that means.
Right. And so we went to Monkey King Productions.
And I also didn't want us to be so Eastern mythology, because all our content is not necessarily Eastern mythology content. If we were just making kung fu movies,
which would be awesome.
Naming our company Son Goku might have been a better idea, but I knew that we had a variety of things that we wanted to produce. And, just like when you think of, I don't know, Legendary or Lionsgate or things like that, they're not quite as, as specific. Yeah. So I was like, let's be a little more wide-reaching in our compass.
So we wanted to be Monkey King Productions. And we found out that somebody already had that website name. So we said, well, what about Monkey King Productions? And we got that. And then we found out later on that Sadie Frost, a British actress, has a production company called Monkey Kingdom Productions. But it's Monkey Kingdom Productions UK, so we're not that worried. So we began, as I said, to empower ourselves as actors and creators, and to start creating content, which we found in the acting world. It's how to retain who you are and how to, in these days, we haven't quite figured out the making money part on it yet, but we've noticed in the entertainment business that a lot of actors, because it's harder and harder to earn a living as an actor, they become producers as well.
Yeah, in fact, if you watch television, you'll probably start to notice that many of the actors on the shows that you watch now are being listed as producer credits. So, I don't know, if you're watching NCIS, you may notice that one of the lead actors is also a producer on the show, and that happens across the board for many of the shows, because the actors are realizing that, and I say gun for hire because it's sort of like, as the actor, you're such a small part of the entire production. Now, as the actor, you're a very visual part of the production, because people see Nathan Fillion as Castle, and he's Nathan Fillion, and they see Nathan Fillion, and it's Nathan Fillion, but he only shows up and does a very small part of the entire work of the whole production, because they've got a whole team of writers, they've got a whole team of people that are set designers and costume designers, and that do all the layout of everything, and you've got the editing team and the audio team and the sound design team, and the director and the producers and all of the various people that work to do it. They're all putting in all of this work, but you're really only seeing Nathan Fillion on screen. So it's this weird sort of balance between this level of celebrity and recognition, because we, as the audience, can't help but see the people up on the screen. We see Guardians of the Galaxy, we don't see all the work of everyone else. We're looking at the actors when we're watching it, but all those other people are doing it, and so as the actor, you sort of are limited, because you show up and you get paid when you show up and you're working, but that's the piece of the pie that you're in. And I think, like Gary's saying, a lot of the actors who want to be a little more in control, in charge of their own careers, are recognizing that they need to have more of the piece of the pie. And so I think very smart actors are really starting to produce both film and television.
And if you were in the panel yesterday, we talked briefly about the project that kicked it off for us. We were working on a script, it was going to be for Tara and I and another guy that we really liked working with, and
it was going to be a feature film.
It was going to be a feature film, and it was going to be sort of a drama adventure thing. And while we were preparing for that, this opportunity came up to shoot a totally different film in a family friend's house while we were house sitting, which we didn't tell them we were going to do. But we found out with very little notice that we were going to have this great mansion for 2 weeks, and we're just going to be sitting around in it. And I said, well, why don't we make a movie while we're there? Terry said, well, we can't make the movie that we're writing that takes place, somewhere else entirely. And so we decided to write a brand new script in a week and a half, and cast it and set it up, and then we spent 2 weeks while we were house sitting, making this movie in our friend's house, which we didn't tell them about until after they came back and everything was still in one piece, or put back into one piece. And they were cool with it because they didn't really realize sort of the scope of what we'd done. But if they had come home in the middle of their vacation and found all these people in their house, and entire rooms full of stuff moved into other rooms, and dolly track running through the house, and cameras and things like that in their house, they probably would have thrown us in jail, despite being family friends.
But to be fair, they have now since seen the movie and they're okay with it.
We were totally nervous though.
It's all okay.
We knew that we would have to show them the movie eventually, but we were totally nervous because there's some risque parts of the film, and it's you can clearly see what we did in their house, and but they somehow at least claim to have seen it and enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you take care of things. So going back to the monkey game, it was a bit mischievous of us
It was definitely mischievous of us.
to have gone and done
I
that.
don't necessarily recommend that. It was a little uncomfortable for me.
Right, but everything in the end worked out okay. So you gotta do stuff. Anybody can start their own production company, and I think if you want to create things and you want to own those things and not just be a part of somebody else's thing, you should. It doesn't take lots of money and lots of people. Everybody's got a network of friends, and that's the type of this type of work you can't do solo anyway. So you want to get together your friends who A, you trust, B, you enjoy working with, and C, have skills that you don't have.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be your friends. I know what you're saying, because you're right that who is in your connections, who is your network of people. But honestly, there are people out there, and so much of this work can be done online. So now suddenly the world is your connection, because anyone you can reach out to in an online forum, in an online community way, suddenly now becomes part of your community. So let's say, for example, you need a visual effect for something you're working on, and you don't know anyone that does visual effects, and you don't do visual effects, and rather than spending 3 years of your life trying to learn how to use particular types of software on your computer to do a certain thing, which can take time and money, that maybe, not that it's not a good idea for you to do, but maybe that's not where you really want to spend all your time and energy. There's probably somebody out there, I guarantee there is somebody out there in the world that does that exact thing. And who knows, they may be looking for a project to work on because they have the skill, but they don't know how to write a script, or they don't know how to do whatever it is that you are working on. And they're just looking for someone. And I know sometimes it can be tricky because you're like, well, where in the world is this other person? It's almost like the idea of finding your mate. Where in the world is this other person that I want to be with? But they're out there somewhere, and it's up to you to make yourself known so that they can find you, and vice versa. So start getting on forums. I don't know if you're a video gamer. Do you guys know who Felicia Day is in The Guild? The web series The Guild. If you're not familiar, it's okay. There's a web series that Felicia Day, who's an actress, in an attempt to empower herself, she wrote and started starring in a web series. Now, it was based on a video game that she was very into playing.
You may have heard of it. It's called World of Warcraft.
Yes.
It's a little
tiny
game.
game.
It's a little indie
not
game.
very many people. It's not really very successful.
Yeah,
So,
she was basically a World of Warcraft addict, in time of being an actress, and it was sucking all her life away. And she decided, she knew more about that than anything else, and that's how the show came about.
But what I was going to say is, so she wrote this based on the community that she was involved in. So it was all the World of Warcraft people that she was online gaming with, and so she made a web series just about that. Her own twist on what that was as a woman playing World of Warcraft and what that was like. And then she needed people to come on board as other actors, eventually as writers, as people directing it, costuming it, doing all of the various other tasks that you need in order to put it together. And so she reached out to that community, and then people started to see what she was doing, and then they got excited about it, and it just grew and grew and grew. And it originated from her experience and her interest in doing something that she was fascinated by. And so it is not an impossibility just because you don't have a particular skill set to get people on board and on your team and on your side, helping and creating alongside of you.
Yeah, and so that film was our first attempt at anything, and it took a long time. You know, making things sometimes takes a long time, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And so it took a while, but we finished it out. Finishing things is important, because a lot of people talk a big game and say, oh yeah, I'm going to do this thing, and then they talk and they talk and they talk and they talk. And sometimes they'll even get it started. You know, they'll shoot a couple days on it, or they'll start building props or something like that. Or sometimes they'll even shoot the whole thing, but they'll never get it edited, or you lose steam. It's easy to lose steam because these things take time.
And it's also easy to get excited about the doing of the original production, like the actual shooting of it, because you have the script and then you're filming the script, and it feels very much like you're making something because you're in what feels like the process of it. But you can't forget that all of the post-production, the editing it all together and putting
The
sound
boring
behind
stuff.
it, the stuff that made
Stuff
up.
that's boring to me.
The stuff that's
Some
boring to you.
people out there
There's
are
someone
really
who's a
excited
sound
about it.
designer who loves that part of it. but there is a part of like the doing and the creating of it. When you feel like you're doing something, you sort of have like an energy high. You're like, yeah, we're making it. And then as soon as you're part of carrying, it's almost like running a relay race. When you're running the relay race, you're like, yeah, let's go, we can do it. And then when you're done with the relay, you're like, all right, you guys want to go? We could go get something to eat. But your teammates still got to be out there on the field because you technically haven't won the race yet, because they still have to take the baton across the finish line. And until you get the baton across the finish line, you're technically not done with the race, even if you are no longer running.
So we often get involved with projects that we're not producing, that we do all this work on. You can tell they're really passionate about it. And like a year later, 2 years later, we ask, hey, whatever happened to that thing that we were all working on?
Well, I got busy and then...
Yeah, they just never finish it. I think people will respect you if you finish things. And I think you'll respect yourself too, when you get involved with something to finish, because people want to see that stuff. People want to see that you can finish things. So we pride ourselves on, even if it's not the best thing in the world, we finish it and get it out there.
Be a completionist, don't be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Get it done, get it done, get it done.
So we've done a lot of other little things since then, but our other feature film is actually a film about cons. It's Write What You Know. A friend came to us and said it was actually just started as a text. He said, hey, you want to go grab brunch tomorrow? And we said, oh, I wish we could, but we're in Baltimore at an anime con. And he's like, oh, you guys are always gone on these things. You should really do like a movie about voice actors going to conventions all the time.
Especially because we made this movie 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But especially back then, because it still seemed like a very sort of new thing and nobody was really going to conventions, except we were, because we were guests at conventions.
Yeah, and we said, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. There's so much, the idea that, voice actors, unlike, movie stars, TV actors, on-camera people who, people recognize their faces when they're out in public and, they get attention and people chase them and things like that. Voice actors, generally, nobody knows what they look like. So they're only really famous at the convention. And then as soon as they walk out the door, nobody cares.
And it's really funny, because even at a convention, usually, or at least in the past, now people are actually starting to know what we look like, because now they make programs where they put your picture in the guide, but they didn't used to do that. It was just your name on a piece of paper, and who knew what anyone looked like? And so like the very first day of a convention, nobody would know who we were, so we'd be walking the floor, and it didn't matter, and we'd go to the dealer's room, and we'd buy somebody's cartoon, and it really didn't matter. And then it was only after we had done a panel or done a signing that people were like, oh, you're you, because they don't know who you, because why would anyone know who you are? And so it was this really funny sort of thing that you're only important as soon as somebody recognizes you, which is just sort of a silly thing, because you are important. It doesn't matter if you are famous or not, you're important. It's just this weird identifying someone else thinking that.
Yeah, and so we always thought that was a funny little world. And he said, yeah, we should make a movie about that. And we were like, oh yeah, that sounds like fun. And then he texted back a little later and he said, and it should be called Con Artists. And we went, like that's the title right there. And so that just knowing that the title and having like a cool sounding title for a movie about people going to cons was enough to get the project going. So we started that, and so over the course of 1 year, he came with us and directed it and shot it, and we went to 11 conventions that year all over the world, and filmed both documentary style things, interviews with people about why they go to cons,
and
what's
panels that we
exciting
were
about
doing and
cons.
things like that, just to show what the experience of going to conventions is.
But we also improv'd a lot of sort of like funny stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys know Christopher Guest. Do you know who Christopher Guest is?
He did like Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman, Best in
Show. And so he does a lot of mockumentary type things. Things that are shot like a documentary, but clearly they're having fun and they're making it up. And so we did that movie, and we're right now working with a sales agent to get it out so that you can actually see it. The film is finished. We've screened it at a couple conventions. It's funny, and you may recognize some people in there because we shot at a lot of cons and all over the place, and people came from all over. But so that film should be available sometime this year. We're working on the contracts right
Either
now.
at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, because it takes a while once you. And that's the thing. The first movie we did, we just made the movie, and then of course we finished it because we believe in finishing. But we made the movie, we finished it, and they were like, "Well, now what do you do with it?" It's like, okay, I have a bottle of water, but what do I do with it? I don't know. Like,
I have a bottle of water, and I know somebody somewhere
Somebody's
wants to drink
thirsty,
that
and
bottle
I
of
don't know how
water.
to do
But how do we
anything.
get it to them?
And so we just sort of were like, well, here's the water, I'm just gonna leave it here. And that's what we did with our first movie. So it's actually available on iTunes, but you have to know what the title of it is in order to go search it. Like it's
There's
not
no
easy.
advertising for our first film.
Yeah, I mean, like if you go to our websites, you can find a way to find it. But if you're not aware of it, or if you're not looking for it, it's really much more difficult to get. Well, we didn't want to let that happen for our next movie because, of course, life is a learning experience. And so, okay, we learned our lesson on the first movie. Not that many people go searching for movies that they don't know about. Okay, good to know. So then on our second movie, that's one of the reasons we're working with a sales and distribution agent, is so that now that we have this bottle of water, we can actually go, hey, guys, there's water over here, and maybe get a bigger, wider audience to know that there's something that we want them to get excited about.
Only this time you'll be able to buy our water on VOD. Maybe Hulu and Netflix. So this film, so Con Artists won't be out in theaters, but you will be able to get it soon on VOD and probably some other platforms that we're not quite sure exactly specifically what's going to be yet. And we also recently just did a short film that Tara had conceived. Going back again to, Tara was like, well, this is the kind of character that I want to play. And if nobody's casting me as this right now, I'm going to create this and make this happen for myself. And so it's this steampunk short film where she plays this amazing steampunk adventurer. The trailer is online right now.
Yeah, we just posted it 2 days ago.
Yeah, so if you go to our Monkey Kingdom Productions YouTube page, it's up there. But it's all about empowering ourselves as actors and creators, and owning more of the stuff that we put out there. So that was the reason behind the production company, and really what keeps us going.
You totally eliminated the whole web series we produced.
Oh my God.
There was only 2.5 years.
How many people? Yeah, let's go back to that. How many people yesterday caught some of the shelf life stuff that we screened? Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, I should have.
No, it's all good.
Right.
You were just like, these movies, and then we just did this little short film. I'm
Talk
like,
about shelf life for a
Okay,
second.
so,
we'll get to some questions. If anybody has questions
Yeah,
about
definitely.
creating your own stuff.
and we also produced a play, too, that you wrote.
Oh, that's right.
So, I mean, we have produced a lot of different kinds of material, and I think that's just about being generative and having ideas. Don't feel like you're limited, like, oh, we're a production company, we can only do films, or, oh, people get so stuck in these rules, and it's frustrating. Let's not inhibit ourselves. Let's feel like we can do the things that excite us. And no one's ever done that before, great. Make it your own. But, so the web series that we did is called Shelf Life. It's about 4 action figures on a young boy's shelf, We wanted to do a comedy, so it's all little comedic, and because we were doing it on the internet, we knew that we wanted the episodes to be particularly short. Now, we talked about doing a full television roster where it's, for a comedy, it's 22 minutes long. If you do an hour-long drama, it's actually 44 minutes long, because for television you have to leave breaks for commercials. So the actual amount of content that you're watching during a half-hour show is 22 minutes, and the content that you're watching during an hour show is 44. And so we had debated if we wanted to do television format, but what was so particularly freeing about doing something for the web is there aren't any rules, because you're on your computer, you click on the thing, you watch it for the length of time, and then you go, unlike television, which has to be formatted in half-hour or hour increments so that the television stations know how much time that they're selling and know how many things they can slot in, because if everything was its just own random amount of time, you would have these blocks of airtime where nothing was happening because they didn't have the right amount of content. So that's why television became formatted in the way television's formatted, so that they always knew that they needed a half-hour or an hour slot, and they just sort of shut it.
The internet is the Wild West, so you can kind of do whatever you want. And you know, if you click on something and it says 6.5 minutes, unless it's something you already know that you love, you'd be like, 6.5 minutes, I don't know, let me go watch, this cat for, 10 seconds. It's going to be easier to tune into.
Yeah, so we knew that we wanted
to keep it short.
To keep it short, and we knew what we wanted to do was make it really funny, and we didn't want the jokes to linger any more than the joke was funny for, because we get really frustrated when you see something and you're just like, this isn't funny anymore, why are they still doing it? So we wanted to just get in, get out, and be done with it, and then move on if the joke's done.
Basically the robot chicken model of comedy. They understand that if a joke is only funny for 3 seconds, they do 3 seconds and then they cut to something else. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to make sure nobody was, we didn't want to do the Saturday Night Live model, which is, okay, if people aren't laughing, keep doing it. And if they're still not laughing, they'll get it eventually. And then, if they're still not laughing, we'll beat them over the head with it, and then finally we'll cut the sketch, after they only really like the first 10 seconds.
Right. And so we started working on our web series Shelf Life, and we did season 1, which was 10 episodes, and we knew that each episode was only 2 to 3 minutes long, so they were nice and short, but it still, took time and energy, so we did that, and we posted it online, and we waited to see what kind of response we got, and we started to get a nice small group of people that were really excited about it, because it was funny content, and it's action figures, so that appealed to several people besides us. And it also, mostly you, and it also wasn't necessarily for kids, because a lot of content that has to do with toys tends to be children related. It's either young boy or young girl programming. And so we were like, no, this is for young adults and adults to be able to laugh at it. We want it to be funny because we want to take all the things that we thought were interesting in Toy Story, but make it be what we actually think would happen. What's a little kid actually going to do with their toys? They're going to stick them together and make them having sex. They're not going to just be like, oh, your toys, look how fun toys are. They're going to do what little kids do with toys. That's what little kids do. And so we wanted to explore what that was like.
Yeah, it's like Toy Story, but with sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Exactly. And so we had a lot of fun with season 1, and then we decided that we were having so much fun, we did season 2, and by then, the group of people that were watching it started to grow, because people were enjoying it, and they were telling their friends who were like, oh, this is pretty cool, and they were coming and enjoying it. And so by the time
you'll tell your friends when you go home today.
So by the time we did season 3, we had a really wonderful team of people working on it, both directing, and then we started getting guest writers in, and we had a lot of guest actors that were friends of ours that were like, oh my god, I love the show you guys are doing, I want to come play, I want to come be a part of it, and so it just sort of kept growing and growing, because like we keep saying, make what you want to make, and then attract the people to you to help out and to do parts of it, because if you're passionate and they see that you complete things, and they see that you're true to what you say that you're going to do, and they see that you're trying, they're more likely to want to be a part of it. Whereas if you do something but you never really get it done, people are less likely to take you seriously and less likely to be like, hey, I want you on my team, because they're not sure you can carry your weight. And so then by the time we did season 3, we did have a very sort of steadfast fan base.
Core audience, yeah.
Core audience, and we knew that in order to take the storyline where we wanted to take it, because for the first 3 seasons, it's basically the action figures on the shelf, which is a very limited set and prop amount of work to do.
So because of that limited set, we had it all in one place, and each episode took place on the shelf. We were able to schedule it so that we would shoot all 10 episodes over a weekend for the first couple of seasons.
Yeah. And then we decided we wanted to take the characters off the shelf, like what happens under the kid's bed, and where are other locations in the house that things might be going on. And so we did a crowdfunding campaign to our fans to raise the funds to do season 4. And we were trying to get $30,000 to do season 4 because we knew how much money it took to get all the costumes and build all the props and pay for catering.
Especially if we wanted to make it, bigger.
Yeah, and so our fans raised the money and they supported season 4. And in fact, they gave us more money than we were requesting online, which is always nice.
Because we spent it.
We spent it, and we spent a lot
It's
more
all,
than
it's
that.
all up on screen.
It's all on screen. But we were able to do season 4, and so now there are 48 episodes for Shelf Life, which are all done. We're very, very proud of it. But we've now ended that show, so we're not doing any more Shelf Life. As much as we love it, we're going on to do other projects. So like Yuri was talking about the short film, and we're actually now writing we're very, very early stages of pre-production on our next feature film, because it's all about, learning from what you've done in the past and then moving forward and doing something else.
So that's Monkey Kingdom Productions for us. We're always working on something or other. Does anybody, all of the, especially you guys in the back.
Oh yeah, all of you guys
quiet.
in the back that are so quiet back there. I like that you guys all turn around and like, there's no one.
Yeah, that's right.
It's only the
It's
3, 4,
just
5,
joke.
7, 8 of you.
That's right. But I don't know if
Nice.
anybody's got questions about creating your own stuff, creating your own content, making things, or really, yes sir.
What a great place to start?
What's a great place to start?
Well, I would say, go ahead.
I was just gonna say a great place to start would be to find a story that you want to tell.
I was gonna say an idea. An
Yeah.
idea is the best place to start.
Yeah, find something that you're passionate about, because it's gonna be hard, and you're gonna want that passion to keep you going. If you pick something, that you think,
People like cat videos. Maybe I should do something with a cat.
right, but you don't really care much about cats or making cat videos, then
It's probably not
you're
gonna be
not
as much
gonna
fun
have
for you.
Yeah, you gotta have fun. So that would be, I think, the first place to start.
And I would say that one great way to figure out what that idea is, because you may feel overwhelmed, because in a way you can do anything, and so the possibilities are limitless, which is almost too daunting, because you're like, well, I could do anything, I don't know what to do. So look at what kind of things you like already. What are the shows that you enjoy watching, or the books you enjoy reading, or the movies you enjoy seeing? Like, what are those things? What do you find yourself going back to? Is there a particular type of genre? Do you tend to go see every horror movie when a horror movie comes out, but you avoid romantic comedies? Like, what is it you enjoy? And then start to narrow in on that and go, yeah, I like action adventure, because I really like it when the hero goes on a journey, but I like it so much better when it's in the Old West. And then start to go, oh, I like Westerns. Oh, okay, I really like, what do I like about Westerns? And start to figure out what it is that makes you excited. Is it that do you like to see a character who has faults and they fall? Do you like to see a character who's learned from their past grow? What is it that's exciting to you to watch? And then you can look at the kinds of genre things that you're enjoying and go, oh, I like that, but I want it to be in space. I want to do a space Western. And then you can sort of piece together the things that excite you, that make you passionate, but do it with your own spin on it, and yet be very true to what excites you, so that way throughout the whole process, because it is going to be a relay race, but you, when it's your own project, you have to be the runner and the cheerleader on the sidelines for everyone else, because no one's going to be as excited about your project as you are, because they're going to be excited about their own projects. And of course, they're going to be happy to help you when they see that you have passion, and they see that you're going to finish and that you have drive, but you have to be the one that's motivating them. So you want to make sure it's something you want to be motivating people about. Don't make the cat video if you hate cats. It's not gonna. You're not gonna be that excited.
Unless it's a cat video where you're like crushing cats, or you're setting cats on fire. Don't do that.
Don't crush the cat.
I mean, not for real.
Don't crush the cat.
But
so
I would say,
With
so
the
find something you're passionate about, a story that you feel you really want to tell. And then I would say start small on the first thing, because you will get more confidence by finishing something. And people will respect you and what you're doing when they see that you actually finish something. So start small, start like a sketch that you shoot, for the web, or just something manageable. Because you don't want your first thing to be so huge that you go out there and it's really daunting, and you know, every day you wake up and you're like, and it terrifies you to think about going back.
You should be a
that
little
day.
scared.
You should always be a little scared. And that's when you know you're doing something right.
But not so scared that you don't take action.
Right.
Because if you're immobile, then you're not actually doing anything.
And then find some people who want to work on that with you. You know, I think there are people who want to do stuff out there and they just don't know where to start. And if you start something and are passionate about it, people will want to help you.
But it can
certainly
be-
happens.
It can be as simple as if you're hanging out with your friends and something's really funny and it tickles you guys and you just think it's the funniest thing ever, talk about making that into something. Like, just see what that's like. Okay, what if it's a sketch about 4 guys eating a pizza and, I don't know, whatever the thing is that happens, and then work on that, because then you guys are all invested in that experience and you can do it and get it from the origin of an idea actually out there into the world. Because there's something really amazing about seeing something that's just in your head become a real thing. You know, it's one of the things that's nice when somebody has a skill like drawing, you know, like even all these artists out here in Artist Alley, you go up to them and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing, you drew that. You made that, that's something that you created from nothing. You made something happen. And so when you can do that, not only are you showing yourself that you are that powerful, that you can do that, but you're showing the world, and that way you start small, like Yuri's saying, and do that small thing, you can actually finish it. Because then when you want to do the next thing, you can go, hey guys, I promise we're gonna get this done, check this out, I did this other thing. And by being able to do that, not only are you sort of revving your own engines and going, yeah, I can do this, but you're showing other people that you can. Yes?
Okay, I mean, music, like techno, stuff.
Like you compose it
Right on.
and play it?
And, no, I can't play.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's
That's okay.
techno, so you don't need to.
okay.
I'm really good at it, but I don't know where to, like, you know, send a demo or whatever. What would you recommend?
So you're trying to find out like where the outlets might be for it?
Yeah.
Well, I would say, the first thing I would say is make sure you have a website that you can then post your stuff on it, as long as you have the rights to your own
little
music.
clips.
I don't know quite how well that works if you're pulling from someone else's music to create your own.
No.
But okay, so make sure you have a website, and you can get free websites, so it's not even like this costs anything. There are literally free websites out there. So get a website so that people can come find your stuff. So you can start promoting where people can start to come and see what you do. And then what I would do is, and there's research involved, because I certainly don't have this information. I don't know who has labels that do techno or whatever, but someone out there does. So start doing research. Get on the internet. Get on the internet and go, who sells techno music? Who produces techno music? And then start sending your demo to those people, because they're already the target people that
go
work.
to the places that you might already have interest in or connections to, like anime conventions.
Yeah.
So, you know, they always need DJs.
Yeah.
They always need, you know, music for this and the other.
Well, but I mean, like,
Hey,
there
but
are
it's-
things down the line.
Well,
that you can do.
maybe they, you know, maybe they'll do like a promotional video for Anime Fest next year.
And you can
maybe
offer to
contact them
do-
and say, hey, you can use some of my music for, you know, for your promo video or whatever. People love to get free stuff, especially when they're trying to put together things on the cheap, you know, produce things they don't have a lot of money.
And it
That's
helps
a good
you.
way- It's a good way to get started and to get your music out there. They may not pay you for that first one, but all of a sudden now anybody who comes to the website listens to your music, and if it has a little thing on the bottom that says music by, you know, and how to get in touch with you, they may get excited about that. You could even post in local, you know, forums like filmmaker, you know, independent filmmaker forums.
That you're willing to do, like,
And-
people's videos.
Yeah, film schools, you know, or any school that has like a film making program. You post something that says, hey, you know, I composed this kind of music. Come check it out. I'm happy to score your film.
And the other thing is, I mean, especially in the world that we live in that's so social media heavy, I mean, people have Twitter and Facebook and people are online, and it's about self-promotion so that people know what it is you do. Once you get your website and once you start volunteering to, hey, I'll make your free video and I'll put the music underneath it, then you can promote that video without just seeming like you're like, hey, listen to my music, hey, listen to my music. You can say, hey, I just helped out so-and-so do their video, check out their video, and you can hear my stuff, but you're also helping them promote what they're doing, which they're going to be very appreciative that you're promoting their amazing thing that they're so proud of, and yet at the same time, you get to show off what it is you've done, and so it's a benefit on both sides. And I mean, there is going to be a time that you do just sort of have to do stuff for free, but it's while you're learning, and they're getting the benefit of getting it, and like it helps everyone.
Yeah, there, you know, music. You know, a lot of people want to like shoot a music video, but A, they don't own the rights to any of the music, or they don't know anybody who does music. So there, if you can connect with filmmakers out there who may want to shoot a music video, you know, there's another place for music.
Or, I mean, we're at
People want music.
Yeah, we're at an anime convention. I bet there's a lot of cosplayers out there that would love to do something showing off all their amazing costumes that they're doing with their characters and would love music underneath it. Like, how cool would that be? Like, there's probably people here today that you could...
Really good idea.
Well, do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, so just open up your mind to be like, well, where could this music appear? Where have I heard music appear? Like, that's where the music is going to be. So how can you do that? Did you have a question?
Yes.
Yes.
I used to work on films, and I've done really short shorts.
Uh-huh.
But I've hooked up with a whole new group of people
Yeah.
to try to do longer shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem for us is trying to get production started. Like I've written stories and I've sent stories out, scripts and stuff out, so I can get a tell of, you know, if it's good or not.
Uh-huh, sure.
People would tell me it's good or they have like some small changes, but it's just production part is the only problem.
So the hard part is starting? Is that what you're saying? You're having a hard time
And
starting?
like getting the equipment and the people to help you, is that the...
Equipment and locations and stuff like that.
Sure. Well, I will be honest, those are very difficult things. Whenever you're trying to get stuff that's not just, you know, things that you own in your own space, it always does get exponentially more difficult. But that's another thing. That's something that you can do, especially the more, once you get your website and once you start to find a forum that you can talk to, whether it's just friends or if you have an online community, if you have a Facebook page, like start to tell people when you need things. Like, hey guys, I want to do a short film, but I need a conference room, and I don't have a conference room. I don't work in an office that has a conference room. And whatever, let's say you were doing a short in a conference room. That's why I use that example. I don't know what your short's about, but let's say you need a pizza parlor. Okay, you're trying to shoot a scene in a pizza parlor, and you don't own a pizza parlor, you don't know anyone that does own a pizza parlor. First, go to the pizza parlor that's your local pizza parlor and say, hey, we're gonna do this, would you guys be comfortable with this? But then try to like put the post out there, because you don't know who knows somebody. Because a lot of times you're only 1 or 2 degrees away from somebody that has something that you need, but if they don't know you need it and you don't know that they have it, there's no way for you to go, oh my God, I didn't know that that your uncle owns a pizza parlor. But that person's uncle isn't going to know to tell you, and you're not going to know, and so you're never going to get that piece of information without saying it out loud or writing it down for people to know that that's something you need.
This is really the only good thing, the only thing that Facebook is good for.
No.
is to hook yourself up with, you know, to find the people who have the things that you need, you know, to get your stuff done. Let's pick we'll brainstorm with you right now. What's a location that you need for your script? Do you think that's hard to get?
It's
It's a pizza parlor? I'm joking.
it's an area
Mm-hmm.
that it's like it can be done in Dallas, but it's just an area that it's hard to try to find and figure out exactly where can we shoot without, you know.
Right, without attracting police attention, and, or disturbing people.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, some locations are going to be harder than others. Like, if you got to shoot in an airport, you kind of have to, you know, get permits and, you know, talk to the people there.
But you can also get really clever and creative. So let's say you need to shoot in an airport, right? Because airports are very difficult, especially with what's happening, you know, with security issues. So it's very difficult to shoot in airports. So you may not be able to have a beautiful window where you see the planes pulling up, but airports have lots of areas. Airports have waiting rooms, right? So in a way, you don't actually need to show the window with the plane coming up. All you really need to show is the chairs that are all sort of attached, sitting together with people with their suitcases, because you're gonna recognize that as people waiting in the airport, right? So if you can get clever about it, you might be able to dress a location. So what if this conference room was free and it's an empty room that you have access to and you are allowed to shoot in here? Great. So set up some chairs so that they're all together in like a weird sort of formation, because you know airport area waiting rooms, they always have them like, they're like set up like triangles and square, like they set the chairs in weird, and then do it. Dress the location that you have against that wall with the chairs funny, and you have people with their suitcases and, you know, people with the little neck things where they're waiting, you know, like make it look like they're waiting for an airplane, and you never have to see the window with the planes. they all just
And-
look over
yeah.
there as if it's the window with the planes, you know? And then you made it look like it and nobody is the wiser.
And then in the background, you put the sound of, jets taxiing and taking off,
And-
and
At gate 12, we have can we have Rock Johnson, could you get, like, you add that in, and it's all done in post, and then people listen and watch it, and they believe that it's an
You're like,
airport.
oh, that's an airport.
So you have to get clever, you have to break outside of the reality to make
Yeah.
people believe the reality.
And if you're trying to get a location, you don't think if somebody's going to let you use it. Think in terms of what you can offer them, for them helping you out. Make it as easy on them as possible. Say, oh, I want that pizza parlor. We'll do it late at night. We'll do it early in the morning.
So it doesn't interfere.
We'll pay somebody, $25, to just hang out and make sure we're not stealing stuff.
And we'll
somebody
give you a
who can-
credit at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
We'll put the name of your pizza parlor and say special thanks, catering provided by, or whatever it is, location provided by.
Yeah, so to try to think of things that would be valuable to that person that you're asking to use their stuff.
I actually shot at a gas station one time.
Yeah?
Yeah. I told them it was like, y'all can be in it if y'all want.
See? That's
See, there you go.
perfect.
Everybody wants to be in the movies.
I know.
Sometimes that's how people raise money.
They give out roles.
They approach a millionaire. They're like, we need money for the film, and the millionaire's like, well, yeah, I'll give you $1 million for your film, but my girlfriend's got to be in it. And you're like, oh, well, write a part for your girlfriend. I don't care. You give us $1 million.
Yeah.
You just sort of figure out what it is they want when you're going.
And I will say, people are going to tell you no. They will. I mean, people are going to tell you no. People say no very easily. If it feels like it's an inconvenience, if they don't understand, if they just feel like they don't want to be bothered with it, people are going to tell you no. So just
If
know.
they're jealous. Sometimes people are jealous.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I always wanted to make movies. This guy's making a movie. I'll just tell him no.
Yeah. So just know that no is a part of it. So that's actually like a badge of honor, and it means you're doing something right. Getting a no is good.
Right, but if you're passionate about it, that's what's going to keep you going past all the no's.
So when you first hit that no, you don't go, oh well, I guess I shouldn't make this short. I guess I shouldn't do it. I guess I shouldn't do it. Because if you're going to do that, then you weren't fired up about it in the first place. You want to be really fired up.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions before they come back in with another sign? They keep
It says-
holding up signs.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
15, 10,
No. Yes, 6 seconds.
We'll now open the floor to any questions that don't even necessarily have to do with production, but that you may have on, what restaurants we like in Dallas.
We've only been to one.
We've only been to one, but.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yesterday I told you I looked like that and Symphonia. What was it like playing her?
Oh, she's a really fun character. That whole team of people that were working on it, because a lot of times when you go in to record a game, you don't get to meet the other actors, because you just go in one-on-one, you record. But that was being done in the studio, and I knew a lot of the people. And so when I got to go in, they were all really fun, and then you get a character like that, and I was like, oh, she's really silly and out there. And so it was fun for me, because sometimes I just play like really hard, evil characters, and then other times, not as frequently, I get to play sort of crazy, wacky, wackadoodle characters. And so she's a little bit in the middle, and that was fun for me to get to play her.
Yes, sir.
Travis enjoyed wearing tight clothes.
Oh my God, Travis is.
Oh my God.
Travis Willingham, who you know from such shows as Film and Alchemist, he made a bunch of other things. He's Roy Mustang. But he's. Travis, I hate Travis because.
No, we enjoy
Let me
Travis.
tell you why I hate Travis. Because I think that you should either get to be handsome or funny. But you're not allowed to have both, because that's just not fair. And Travis Willingham is both handsome and funny. And isn't like self-conscious about the comedy. And we would ask him to do these things for our show, for Shelf Life. And if he was at all self-conscious about anything or worried about looking, stupid or whatever, it wouldn't have worked when we would have done it.
No, in fact, he would come up with ideas like, well, why don't you guys hit me in the balls? And we're like, oh, okay.
You're right,
Why don't
that's
you hit me in the
much
balls?
funnier,
That's
right.
okay, we could do that.
Right, and he, suffered many indignities at our hands. And the only way we got him to really do that was that we were standing right next to him in equally ridiculous costumes, doing, similar things. But Travis has always wanted to be a superhero, and so we made him a superhero.
And he has a great sense of humor, and I mean,
And he's hilarious.
he's hilarious. He wouldn't have said yes to doing the project if it wasn't something he wanted to do. So he already was excited about this ridiculous idea of being this action figure on a shelf that actually doesn't have any real powers. His character has powers, but he isn't the character, he's the action figure of the character. And so he already liked that dichotomy of what that meant story-wise.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
a good time.
For Yuri, between Luke and Ash, who did you enjoy voicing more? Also, those scenes where Luke and Ash are always talking to each other, how did you feel about voicing those two?
That's, actors will always want to do fun things like that, where they're playing two different characters talking to each other, which was great because they actually had me record that. Some of the stuff we practiced where I would do one and do the other, do one and do the other, like back and forth. But because
Gollum
of
style?
Gollum style, yeah, Gollum and Smeagol style. But the way they record it, they'll record one character at a time. So when we went to recording it, it was just I would like get a character for the one character, do the whole thing, and then go back and do Ash. I would have to say I love both of those characters because they're kind of two sides of the same coin. But I have to go with Luke because one of the exciting things for an actor is to play a character that changes over the course of the story. Like he starts out one way, and by the end, he's transformed into something else. And that was not really Ash's journey. That was Luke's journey. Luke started out, he was kind of a dick. He was really selfish, and
Then that one scene happened, and
yeah, exactly. Began his change into like a true hero. So that was the most fun for of the two characters. I think I really enjoyed that. Plus Luke had a lot more lines, so I got to go in and work a lot more for Luke and Ash. Ash's stuff we wrapped up pretty quick. But I'll always love both of those guys. That game turned out really well.
Any other questions? Looks like you want to ask a question. No?
Maybe.
No.
Oh, you were saying that one of the ways that you find people for yourself is just through social media and reaching out to social networks. How do you, which ones are your primary?
We are very active on Twitter, and you can follow us. I'm at Tara Platt. He's at Yuri Lowenthal, exactly like it sounds. But yeah, we are very active on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook, we have fan pages that we react to because we also have family stuff on our personal pages, so we don't friend people on our personal pages on Facebook just because I don't think that's appropriate. You don't need to know when my aunt's having foot surgery. That's just not.
I don't even know when Anne's having foot
I
surgery.
know. So because of that, I keep my fan page, and I am active on there. But I think that's a good way to sort of reach out to people and into the communities and things like that. Because then, I don't know that someone in Texas knows how to do graphic design that I don't know how to do. And if I post, hey, I'm looking for someone to help me design a poster, and someone in Texas goes, I would love to do that. I have always wanted to design a poster, and I would love to get my work out there. Then we can come to a meeting, but they would never know that if I didn't post it and I vice versa, because the world is such a big world.
We did that recently. We wanted to have some photos to take to conventions and sign that showed us and some of our more popular characters, and we went to our Facebook and said, hey, we're not really good at Photoshop, and somebody came back. You would be surprised also at shoot high when you're asking. You might think, oh, I'm doing this little Flash animated thing, and I want some voice acting talent I want somebody to do the voices, but I don't really know any actors, or I don't have any friends who do that. Go out there. I get approached by people who are starting their own video games or doing they just did an animation thing, and they send me an email through my website and they're like, you probably want to help me. I'm in high school and I just did this thing, but there's this character and he's got 3 lines, and I was wondering how easy that is for me. Now, I can't do that for everybody, obviously.
Yeah, but
But
if
every
we're
now and
free, sometimes we'll
If
do
I
that.
get an email, I'll absolutely, I can step into my little closet booth at home and knock those lines out and send it to them, email it
Now,
to
we
them.
don't do every single one, so that doesn't mean but a lot of
You
times
never know.
you never know, and they happen to send us the email, and we happen to be on vacation that week, and we're at home. I'm like, oh, I can take care of that. That's easy for me to do 3 lines. Now, if they want me to do 5,000 lines for their thing, I might have to go look. I don't have the time to do that. You should find someone that's more available, but I will let them know. It's so you never know what may come of doing it.
You you can touch people on social networks these days in the way that you can. You never had access to those people. You know, on Twitter, I could never. Back in the day, there was no way I could, you know, say something to, you know, one of my favorite directors or anything. But sometimes they're on Twitter and they love being on Twitter and talking to people. And I've, you know, gotten a chance to, you know, create relationships with people that I would want to work with that, you know, 5 to 10 years ago, I wouldn't even have been able to get through those people's agents or whatever it actually.
And now we're actually friends with people that we've only met on Twitter, that now we've actually worked together, that are
Yeah.
what I would consider to be, you know, people that I respected and sort of held in high esteem, and then we created a relationship. But I will say it's important to create a relationship. Relationship is very important because people are more likely to want to work with people that they like and that they respect and that they feel comfortable with. Because if you're coming at them and you need something from them so much, they may go, whoa, that's scary and I'm not available or I can't. And so you sort of have to, you know, play it cool.
Right, so we probably have to wrap up before,
I
I don't
have
know
a
what
feeling that they're going to start
is the
next.
next panel's next door down here. Okay,
Great.
so thank
Thank
you
you,
guys
guys.
for coming out early in the morning.